Hi, this is Richard Blade, and you're listening to the Blue Zone Podcast Network as it presents Permanent Record, an in-depth look at the classic albums of the 70s and 80s, albums which have earned a permanent place of honor, both in our hearts and in our record collections.
All right, we're coming in hot after our celebration yesterday of National Wine Day.
Oh, yes, very much.
We imbibed 2 or 3 bottles of wine.
Yes.
To celebrate the occasion.
Very important holiday that we felt needed to be observed.
Very true. And of course, as we did that, we watched the Cure trilogy.
Yes.
DVD. And we watched the Cure Festival
right.
DVD, which we were kind of less than impressed with.
Yeah, the filming and the editing of that concert was less than appealing, in my opinion.
It was pretty bad.
Yeah.
It looked like it was filmed on terrible low-budget cameras and edited by a high school...
Dropout.
Well, I was going to say, like, by a high school student doing his project.
Yeah.
But maybe it was a dropout.
Yeah, I don't know. And I pointed out it was the era before smartphones took over the world. And to me, a lot of what we saw in that show looked like what we would now see as cell phone footage. And I'm like, I don't need any of that because I could go on YouTube and find a million versions of that.
Yeah, if you wanted to see really washed out colors and
graininess,
and grainy footage.
Yeah.
So it's a shame because the set list was actually pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
On that DVD.
And if you just, concentrated on the performance and the music, it was very good. Both of those shows were really good, very enjoyable.
Well, Trilogy especially is awesome.
Well, yeah.
I love watching that DVD and checking out all those classic albums. Even Blood Flowers, I think, is a pretty amazing record.
Oh, I agree.
So that's what we were doing yesterday. Today we are here to wrap up our podcast for the month of May. We've been discussing The Cure exclusively.
Right.
To celebrate the 30th anniversary of Disintegration, and we're ready to wrap that up this time.
Yeah, it's been a great month talking about this album and this group in general. And yeah, I mean, it's going to be a little bit sad when we're done, just like the album, right?
Yeah, really. So before we get into that, we have a few things we want to talk about. The first thing being a voicemail, Sarah. We actually got a voicemail from friend of the show, Tim.
Aha.
One of the nicest guys out there, and I talked to him a lot on Facebook.
Yes.
But he actually, I guess, felt bad for us because we did so much begging for people to actually use their voicemail number. And he did send us a voicemail. So here's what Tim had to say.
Hello, this is Tim, just calling to say, Brian, you've never been as wrong about anything as you are about the drums on Close Down. That's all. Sarah, great job as always.
Well, obviously, I love that voicemail.
Oh, do you?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, it's things like that make me always refer to myself as everyone's second favorite host.
Oh.
Because that's what not most, but a lot of our comments are. There we go. Brian, you're wrong about this. Sarah, hey, you're awesome.
Hey, that reminds me. How did we do in that poll? Sarah versus Common Sense.
Oh, that's right. I don't know if everyone saw that, but you want to explain what that poll was? And maybe I'll look it up.
Well, yeah. So when we were discussing the song Pictures of You, I was talking about the lyrics of that, and I said the one line was wider than snow, W-I-D-E-R. And we got some pushback or some comments about that saying, no, it can't possibly be wider than snow. It has to be whiter than snow, W-H-I-T-E-R. And I said, well, no, I mean, the liner notes and the actual album lyrics say that. It's not just an internet mistake. I think it's really wider. So Brian decided to create a poll to see who more people agreed with, Common Sense or
Yep.
me.
That's right. So we ran a poll and it ended a week or two ago, I guess. And these were the results, Sarah.
Okay.
Common Sense earned 21% of the vote. And Sarah, you received 79% of the vote.
Hooray! I think that means I won.
You did win. Apologies to John Justice.
Uh-huh.
He's a nice guy, but he was just a little frustrated. He said everybody is wider than snow.
Yeah, I know.
But that may be, John, but as John Lamoureux says, I always believe Sarah consistently the safest bet.
Ah, yes. And then we got Tim kind of adding on to that. So thank you guys. Appreciate your support.
So kudos to you. That was a great victory.
Yeah, one of my few.
And Tim, thanks for giving us the call.
Yeah.
Sorry that you didn't agree with me on the drums and Close Down. You know what I did last night? I was paying attention to them quite carefully when we listened to the trilogy, when we watched the trilogy concert.
Right.
And I guess I have to say that, at least in that performance, I still didn't like them.
Man, I really thought you were going to change your mind.
All right. And You know how a few weeks ago, Sarah, I was desperately trying to find some way that The Cure could compete against Janet Jackson and stand victorious?
Oh, yes, yes.
How many weeks on the chart were their albums?
Right.
Oh, Janet was on there longer.
Listings in like top 100 or 200 albums, things like that.
Yeah. Oh, they hit number 2. She hit number 1. Oh,
yeah.
We couldn't find anything that The Cure beat Janet Jackson.
Yeah.
But big news, we got a message this week on Facebook from a friend of the show named Olga, and she said, "Hi, Brian and Sarah. Thank you for the great podcast and for your Disintegration only take for this month. Today, I have noticed Spotify monthly listeners count on the Cure page. So remembering your second episode, I immediately checked out the count for Janet Jackson. And guess what? It's 7,489,695 listeners for The Cure, and only 4,132,981 listeners for Janet. So take that, Janet." And then she put the emoticon for like flexing your muscle.
Yeah.
And she says, "Anyway, thank you guys for your work. It's always a great pleasure to listen to you. Cheers." So that's awesome. We finally, thanks to Olga, found something that The Cure can beat Janet Jackson in.
Yay.
And that is monthly listens on Spotify.
That is a great victory. We'll take it.
We will take it. Congratulations, Robert.
Yay.
And another
Robert the Luddite who hates technology.
Yeah, he doesn't really. He'll never find out. And another thing we need to talk about, Sarah, I've been instructed by our friend Andrew Dineley, star of Stage and Screen and Spotlight, and the Innocence and Pet Shop Boys episodes of this podcast. I've been instructed by him to play this clip for me.
Oh, okay.
Shame on you.
Yes, the very famous Andrew Dineley saying "shame on you" clip.
Oh, that's got to break your heart.
It does. I never thought I would be on the receiving end of an Andrew Dineley "shame on you." But it turns out that I enraged the population of Europe.
Oh, no.
On our last podcast.
What did you do?
I improperly said the plural of Lego blocks.
Oh.
I did what evidently many Americans are apt to do, and I put an S at the end of Lego.
Yeah.
And Andrew called me out and said I needed to play myself the "shame on you" as penance.
Okay.
So as you can see, I'm being very careful not to do it again.
You're like really avoiding it.
I am.
Okay.
So sorry about that, Andrew, and sorry about that to all our friends everywhere who enjoy hearing the proper pluralization of words. And Sarah, the last thing we need to talk about.
Really, the last thing?
Before we get to The Cure.
Oh, all right.
And this is actually about The Cure.
Oh, okay.
So it'll be a good segue. Mm-hmm. Our friend from the UK, Alan Hogg, we should have mentioned him numerous times in the past because he's always looking out for us, and he sends us neat articles. And I often use the articles that he sends when I'm doing my research. He sent one this time around for Disintegration, a magazine called Long Live Vinyl did a retrospective article on the album, and I use it in my notes. So thanks, Alan, for always looking out for us and sending us great stuff.
And sorry we don't give you the credit you deserve.
Yeah. But one thing that he sent us this week was he sent us a review for the first night of the Cure's Disintegration concerts in Sydney, Australia.
Yes.
Is that where it is?
Uh-huh.
So I wanted to talk about this review.
Okay. Well, it's got to be a good one.
Here's what it says. 3 out of 5 stars.
Oh.
Despite its best efforts, the band cannot mask the fact that the original album has its fair share of flaws.
Wow.
Disintegration, a classic album? For that is what underpins this run of 5 shows playing the 1989 Cure album from soup to nuts with extras. On grounds of significance, for the band, as it sailed past 3 million copies worldwide, for a generation of fans who had been late to the early albums of pop-turn-gloom but discovered the joys of happy grimness, for a subsequent flow of bands that mined and expanded the material for goth pop and even a branch of neo-metal, yes, undoubtedly, it is a classic. Disintegration, a great album? No. As this night showed, its peaks are impressive, but its flaws are not easily wished away or distracted from. Though not, you would have to say, for lack of trying, by Robert Smith's current lineup of longtime bassist and tattooed man of action Simon Gallup, drummer Jason Cooper, keyboardist Roger O'Donnell, and a relative new boy of 7 years, guitarist Reeves Gabrels. Indeed, for a while, it looked like they might just pull off the miracle of making the original album's second side, if not brilliant, then at least kinetic enough to pull us through. They go on here and they talk about the power of Robert Smith's voice, and then they say, in any case, that power is what controlled Prayer for Rain and almost obscured the fact that it is not that good a song. But then, it was from that point that the problems began to build. Even with this charismatic center and the none more Cure elements of low-slung, high-note bass and rising clouds of synthesizers given thrust by circular drum patterns. In the same deep water was hollow and drawn out. Disintegration was carried by momentum and the reward for the attention paid to getting the sound marvelously right in this problematic room. Homesick was a dormant lullaby winding its way in familiar colors but on unsteady feet. And Untitled was meandering and flavorless.
Wow.
So that's what I edited out of the review.
Okay.
That's not the whole thing.
Yeah. Well,
but you get a gist of what they think about the album.
Huh. Well,
not very nice to old Disintegration.
No. Rather surprising. Very strange. I'm having trouble processing it and understanding where he's coming from.
It is surprising because, as we mentioned, a lot or most of the newer reviews, the retrospective reviews that we found, looking back on the album, have been very complimentary.
Yeah. Maybe he's friends with the guy from Billboard.
Maybe he is.
Wow. Well, that's too bad he only thought it was mediocre.
Man, that shocked me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that is shocking.
So he's willing to admit that Disintegration is a classic album, but he's not willing to admit that Disintegration is a great album. And I guess we'll have to wait till the end of this episode, Sarah, to find out if you and I think this is a great album.
Yes.
When we do our final evaluation.
I would have to say that.
I think we've been keeping things pretty close to the vest
so
far.
For sure.
People probably don't know for sure how we're going to go on this one.
Not a clue.
So thanks, Alan. I appreciate you sending that article and everything.
And many others.
Yeah, many articles that you've sent over the last year or so. It makes things a lot easier, and you're very helpful, and it's...
much appreciated.
Indeed. So before we jump into the last 4 songs of Disintegration...
Oh, man. Keeping them waiting even longer.
We're going to talk about the very sad, very tragic court case that the Cure got embroiled with in the mid-90s.
Yes.
Against one of their own, Mr. Tolhurst.
Yes.
This is going to serve as the extra credit section of the show, Sarah. Whenever we finish talking about an album, we always do one additional question, the extra credit. But we've been doing this at the start of the episodes for The Cure, each episode. Last time we talked about the artwork. The time before we focused on contemporary reviews. This time we're going to talk about this court case.
Okay.
And that's your little supplementary information for the episode.
All right. Well, it's certainly, I think, noteworthy and worthy of discussion. So let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. Back in a Rolling Stone interview in 1989, Robert Smith said that he's positive that if Lol Tolhurst had stayed in the band, then he would have drunk himself to death or Simon would have thrown him off a balcony. And then my best friend would be in jail and Lol would be dead. It was much easier for him to not be in the band. So we talked about that a little bit before.
Yeah.
About how he sort of, as they were listening to the mixes of the record, he kind of blew up and it was the last straw and he was asked to leave the band.
Yeah, he was asked to leave in a letter that everyone else got. And yeah, not the greatest goodbye, but I'm sure it was very hard for Robert to do that.
Right, I'm sure it was. The band went on to tour for this and Lol stayed at home. And, after leaving the band, Lol does get himself straightened out. He actually does do all the work to get off drinking. He ends up being drug and alcohol free for over a year. And at this point in time, he decides he does want to get back into doing something musical.
Okay.
So he meets with a lawyer because he wants to find out, before he does anything, spends any time working on music, he wants to find out if he's contractually obligated in any way to Fiction Records or any obligation to Chris Perry or to Robert Smith or The Cure. He doesn't want to do a record and then be told he can't release it because, So the lawyer tells him at this point that when Lol renewed his contract in 1986, he went from being a partner in the band to being a contract performer in Smith Music.
Oh.
And this was something that Lol was not really aware of.
I see.
And he didn't handle that information very well, as you could imagine.
Sure. Yeah, he was basically a founding member of the band.
Right.
And now he's a contract performer.
Yep.
Yeah, that's not so good.
So he's not very pleased, and he gets mad, and he said, that fearful attitude that I have come to recognize as the precursor to the worst excesses of the human condition had reared its ugly little head. My warped thinking, while pretending to lead me somewhere good, was actually my undoing. In the recesses of my mind, I knew what I was really looking for: revenge. Big, stinking, loud, dark revenge. I had been wronged, and now I was going to get what was mine.
Wow.
So he says that growing up, he'd heard the phrase, never go to law. People, in his town would say, never never go to the police. Never, deal with it yourself.
Yeah.
It's going to be better in the long run. But the wisdom of those 4 words did not become salient to me until it was too late.
Uh-oh.
So he talks to his lawyer, and he ends up suing the band for royalties and for joint ownership of the name. And as you can imagine, this is kind of a lengthy process.
Well, sure.
The wheels of justice turn slowly.
Yes, they do.
So it takes 4 years from the first letter he sends to Fiction Records and Robert Smith until all the parties actually face off in court. And as the date drew near, Chris Perry called Lol and tried to talk him out of going through with this plan.
Yeah.
And Lol was just having none of it. He didn't want to hear it. And
At this point, he's got too much invested, and I'm sure he's just, no, he's on this path, and that is it.
And then another friend of his named Chris Mason called, and he was telling Lol, you're making a disastrous decision.
Oh, no.
You'll be killing your bond of friendship between yourself and Robert Smith. Lol says in his book, at that point, that's when I pressed the self-destruct button.
Uh-oh.
And he refused to cancel the hearing, and they go to the court. So the hearing went on for 3 weeks, and Lol was on the witness stand for 3 days. He said it felt completely horrid sitting a few feet away from my best friends and having to avoid them in the corridor or the lift. I was running on resentment straight down a hole of my own making.
Just living on negative energy.
Yep, he was. He knew in his heart he was doing the wrong thing, that they were his buddies.
Yeah.
But he had put so much work into it, and he felt so injured.
This negative inertia, basically, this negative energy was propelling him forward.
So the judge, he doesn't give a decision right there at the time.
Uh-huh.
He does something where he's going to go away and think about it and then have a ruling that will come out later.
Okay.
So I think you actually you found an article from the newspaper at the time when the ruling actually first came out.
Yes, I did. I found an article it was 1994. So this was, a couple years later from the original, like you said, the first letters.
Right.
But it was resolved in 1994. One of the things in the article that they talk about was the arguments against Lol by Robert Smith and Chris Perry. And the article says that Mr. Smith and Mr. Perry maintained that his contribution to the Cure was minimal by 1986, and that he was drunk so often that he needed colored dots on synthesizer and drum machine keyboards to remind him what notes to play on stage. So that's kind of setting the stage here for what the judge said.
Yeah, but I remember reading things like that at the time. One time I remember Robert saying he had put numbers on the keys for him.
Yeah.
So he would know the order to play them in concert.
It's like Rock Band or Guitar Hero.
Yeah.
So the article says, in his reserved judgment, Mr. Justice Chadwick said he had had very serious problems with alcohol addiction, from which he might have hoped to recover, but which were at that time severely limiting his ability to perform as a musician. I'm satisfied that he was offered the chance to continue with the Cure largely through the generosity of Robert Smith and in recognition of his status as a founder member. His musical services were not required for their own sake. So with that, he found in the favor of Robert Smith and Chris Perry.
That's right. It's not a great time for Lol. In the months ahead of the hearing there, he and his wife would end their marriage, and he lost the hearing. It was a terrible time for him. But of course, we all know as Cure fans that he would go on to join the band on stage again in 2011.
Right.
Those intervening years, he tells an amazing story in his book. If you haven't read it, he has a book called Cured, The Tale of Two Imaginary Boys. It's an incredible story, and he writes it so well. He's such a good writer. It almost makes you feel like he's sitting there telling you this story in a conversation.
Wow.
So if you haven't read that book, I would recommend it. You'll love the story of how he goes from the court in early 90s to being on stage again with his buddies in 2011.
Yeah, that's a good story of redemption and friendship and all that good stuff.
Highly recommended. And, I mentioned this to a few people online. I recently, just last week, I guess, signed up for Spotify.
You finally joined the crowd of modern people listening to Spotify. So you're adding to the number of listeners for The Cure, right?
Well, I haven't listened to any Cure on Spotify.
Oh, okay.
But I did listen to Leavenhurst.
Oh.
Which is one of Lol's bands that he's been in since The Cure. It's him and his wife.
Right.
And 2 other musicians, I believe. And I really enjoyed the one album I listened to.
Yeah,
I think there's 2 other records that are on there, but I've only listened to 1. But it was good stuff.
Yeah, from what I heard too. You were playing it just recently and I heard it and I thought, oh yeah, that sounds pretty good.
Mm-hmm. So check it out if you're on the cutting edge like me and you have access to Spotify.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to get into Disintegration now. We have 4 songs left, Sarah.
Oh, man.
Unless you have anything else we need to take care of here in the beginning.
Ready to jump in, as they say.
All right, so last time we ended with Prayers for Rain. As that segued into the next song, we heard some thunder sound effects and some rain sound effects.
Yep.
And that means that we're up to a song called The Same Deep Water as You.
kiss me goodbye. Bow your head and join with me. Whispers deep reflections meet. Strangers twist upon your lips. We disappear, ripples clear. Nothing breaks against your feet.
Yeah, this is a classic Cure song. I said it 3 times because it is one of the most well-known and revered among the real Cure fans, in Cure fandom.
Indeed. I'm really excited to finally get to this track as it is my very favorite Cure song of all time.
Wow. I don't think you're alone there. In that book that we've been referring to, The Making of Disintegration, I'll give you some comments on what they say. At 9 minutes, 18 seconds in length, The Same Deep Water as You is the longest individual track that The Cure have ever recorded.
Not true anymore.
Not true anymore. Yet there is not a wasted moment in sight. Indeed, The Same Deep Water as You ranks high among Robert Smith's most important compositions. And I think that's true. The fans feel the same way.
Absolutely. We found out with the Slicing Up Eyeballs reader survey of the top 98 Cure songs from June 2010.
Yes.
Where do you think this song finished?
Number 3.
Number 1.
Oh, wow.
This was the number 1 song in the Slicing Up Eyeballs survey, and it gained comments such as these. Such as this. This was a sample comment. The very first time I heard it, I was captured by the unique and achingly sad sound of it. The true meaning behind the lyrics are up for personal speculation, which makes it even more mysterious. One of the most emotional songs I have ever heard, and that's from Nick B.
All right, Nick B., I think you really captured the essence of the song there. What's interesting is that the Rolling Stone Readers poll from 2016 of the 10 best Cure songs ranks this at number 7. So I don't know what those readers were doing compared to this other one. But...
Well, that's probably a bit more of a top 40 crowd, not a Cure crowd.
Yeah.
I'm sure the top number 1 song was Love Song or Just Like Heaven, right?
Yeah, I actually don't even know, but it was interesting that it's number 7 out of 10.
Did they say anything clever?
No, they did not. You want to hear something clever, though? You want to hear from the Billboard review from 2014 that it's been...
This guy.
has been oh so favorable.
I loved him 2 weeks ago. He was starting to get on my nerves last week, and this week I'm already shaking my fist at him.
Yes, you are.
This guy. So this guy gave the album in total a 0 out of 5. Okay.
That's what I remember seeing.
All right. What did he say about this?
Oh, he said, on an album lousy with epics, this has the distinction of being the long one. Over the course of 9 minutes, 19 seconds, there's not a whole lot of movement or variation, nor should there be, given that it's a song about sinking deeper and deeper into love affair that may have already ended, and that is definitely swallowing Smith whole.
He's not too critical of it, I guess.
Yeah, it's actually not too bad.
I found a review courtesy of Alan Hogg from Long Live Vinyl. They say it's epic bombast, but Smith's vocal delivery is intimate and heartfelt. No one plays guitar like Robert Smith, and his trademark single-note patterns, heavily chorused and flanged, are a counterpoint to the vastness and spaciousness of the sound, a hypnotic and deeply poignant lament.
Oh, that's a very good.
Yeah, I like that.
Very, very nice. And of course, I want to share my Sound Blab review from that track-by-track review from the woman who did such a great job of reviewing that entire album. She says about this song, "It is all about the keyboards here. As a virtual waterfall of synths create a landscape of sound rarely equaled. The landscape offered isn't exactly that of a Georgia O'Keeffe New Mexico vista, but akin to the swirling, dark, and foreboding background of Edvard Munch's The Scream. Beautiful to admire, but also advancing a picture of dread and deep unhappiness."
Ooh, I say something in my notes that basically echoes her first sentence there.
Oh, very good.
It's all about the synths.
That's great.
Well, I have one last review from Immortal Reviews.
Okay.
They said, "The Same Deep Water as You might be the most intensely depressed song on Disintegration. The 9-minute track progressing somberly, each chord calculated as if it took a million thoughts to process the action of making it. The slowness mirrors the lack of motivation you face when depressed, and the way it slowly fades out into nothing has it feeling like an end, as if the pressures placed on the song are swallowing it."
Very nice.
I very much like the comparison, the slowness, that it mirrors the lack of motivation.
Yeah, when
That was very clever.
When you're depressed. Yeah, I read a really interesting article about someone who discovered this album in his teens. He he eventually found out he was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. He didn't know at the time that he had it, but he could understand a lot of the feelings and emotions that this album evoked, and that feeling of depression, and especially in this song was very, he really related to that.
Interesting.
I think it's interesting that this song starts out very similarly to a song that comes out a year later, Crying in the Rain.
By Aha.
Yes, their cover of that Everly Brothers hit. And they both start off with this thunder and rain sound, and then there's kind of some keyboards, and of course then that's where the similarities end.
Really.
But it's just, and they're kind of in the same tempo. This is actually a little bit faster, surprisingly, than the Aha song.
Did you do the beats per minute app?
No, I just looked it up. I forgot to do the tapping. This clocks in at about 100 beats per minute. Crying in the Rain is like 91. So they're very close.
Pretty close. I wish there was a podcast somewhere where people could hear us discussing songs like Crying in the Rain.
Oh, yeah.
By
yeah.
Aha.
I know. Maybe there will be someday.
Well, I'd like to address what Robert Smith himself says about this song. I forget where I got these from. I didn't write it down. But the first quote that I have is Robert saying, "The fame side of things is through default, really. It's flattering, but it's really an intrusion. When we were doing 17 Seconds and Faith and even Pornography, it wouldn't have mattered if it had been released, because we didn't think anyone would listen to it. If this album wasn't released, it would matter, because it's partly been made for people to listen to. And listen to loudly, actually.
That's right.
We do affect people, but hopefully in a good way. Like I'm affected by a good record or a good book. I can accept it as natural now. I'm really proud of what we have done. In my mind, there's a little part of me with Cure songs in it. And it's got Siamese Twins, Faith, Figurehead, 17 Seconds, and now this new track, The Same Deep Water as You. It has gone straight into that part of me. Even if this album fails, it doesn't matter. It's been worth it."
Oh, that's very nice.
Yep, I like that he has a little part of his brain that just has like the heavy, like the Cure songs that he think have weight and worth to them.
Yeah.
That's kind of neat.
Yeah.
And I like that he slid this song into that section of his brain, because this is, in my opinion, better than those songs that he mentions. Mm-hmm. And then the other quote I have from him, which is shorter, he says, "When I was singing a song off the new album, The Same Deep Water as You, in the studio, I was completely overcome for about 15 minutes. I was amazed that I could still feel like this about something, which made it more disappointing when I woke up the next day and I didn't feel anything at all."
Oh, wow. That's actually a really nice segue into the quote that I have from him about the making of this song, the recording of the vocals for this song.
Okay.
He says, "The whole studio situation had to be geared into doing emotional songs. I think you have to live a song, so vocal intensity means a lot to me. The Same Deep Water as You is over 10 minutes long. Lies, Robert, lies. And had to be done in one take, so I had to get it right. I went out for a walk through the trees around the house where we were recording in and watched the sun come up. I get naturally despondent watching the sunrise, and when I recorded this song, I got just what I wanted."
That's awesome.
Yeah, I love that.
Because I as well get despondent if I happen to be awake when the sun comes up. It's the worst. Makes me feel disgusting.
Yeah, I love that you guys have that in common. You hate seeing the sunrise.
So gross.
What a weird description of it.
It is gross. It makes you feel gross.
Oh, it does not. So let's talk about the song itself. Some things that aren't gross about it.
Okay.
Which is everything. Nothing about the song is gross. Everything about the song is, well, just wonderful. Amazing.
I agree. I wrote right here, I just love every single aspect of this song.
From the beginning to the end. It's got a different beginning. We don't get those keyboards until almost a minute in. I think the keyboards come in at like 50 seconds. We get the thunder, which just repeats throughout the song. He doesn't start singing until almost a minute and a half in, which is not unusual on the songs on this album. Long intros. There's some really lovely, delicate guitar playing, layers of keyboards. Oh, I could go on and on.
Oh, yeah. There are so many good things here. In terms of performance, I don't know any other band who does a better job of establishing a mood with a song than what they do here. I seriously think they evoke more emotion and affect me more in the 9 minutes and 22 seconds than most filmmakers can in like 2 hours.
That's a really astute quote, or an astute observation.
And that kind of thing is going to continue with other songs on the second side, but this is the one that I dig the most. And you mentioned the thunder and the rain sound. You know, we teased that sound effects CD thing.
Yeah.
How he was enthused about having the sound effects CD, so he wanted to put it in these songs. And who was it? Roger said, like,
yeah,
he didn't really think it was necessary.
Yeah, he's like, we don't need it. It's too much. It's like too on the nose.
Yeah. I think they would have been fine without it. I think that the music in the song would get the effect across, the feeling and the tone of water, but I'm fine with it being there. I think it sounds fine.
Yeah. And I mean, I still like it very much in the beginning. I think it does help establish that mood, especially coming off of the song Prayers for Rain. I mean, it's really,
Right, yeah.
to me, I love that. Maybe it's a little corny, but I think it's wonderful. And if you're going to get rid of it throughout the song, yeah, because there is just so much else going on. You could do that, but I do like how it still, the thunder kind of comes in every now and again, kind of to remind you of the landscape and the, the background that is going on.
And even with those sounds and with that nice guitar and things, I really think this is the Robert and, like your review said, the Roger show, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
The amazing vocals and the perfect synths set the tone unbelievably well. And like I said, everybody sounds fantastic as usual, but it's just that the voice and the synths are the two elements that matter most to me.
Yeah.
And I think steal the show.
I would agree. The layers of keyboards in this song are just tremendous.
Something that really surprised me, Sarah, as we were researching this song and reading articles and things on his website, Roger O'Donnell mentions along the way there certain people wrote certain songs. If you look at his list of who wrote what, he doesn't do it. He doesn't have a complete listing, but he does mention some. He says that Simon wrote the music for Love Song, and his demo sounds exactly the same as the finished song. And then he goes on to say he also wrote Same Deep Water and is untitled as well.
Really?
Which I never really would have thought. I have always thought this was a Robert Smith song.
Yeah.
But evidently Simon wrote the music for this one.
Well, he did a fantastic job.
He sure did. This is an amazing track.
Yeah. I love the emotions that you get out of this song. I think you can feel love, you can feel beauty, and then you also feel this deep sense of despair all throughout this song. The music itself just kind of carries you away with like a rainstorm or a giant wave. It's just, you're just enveloped. You're just a piece of it and just kind of going along with it.
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of helpless to do anything about it.
Yeah, I know. It's very easy for this song. I mean, you can just, if you want to, you could lose yourself in it. Like you just said, you could just zone out and just focus on the music, and it actually affects your mood.
Oh, yeah. I think it literally affected the weather because as I mentioned on Facebook, as we were starting to, really finish up our notes for this, I was getting ready to listen to this song, and it's getting cloudy and it's getting darker outside, and I'm listening to this song, and here it starts raining and thundering. I'm like, what is happening here?
And like scary lightning.
Yeah, like really bad thunder and lightning. And we had to actually stop our work for a while. We wanted to turn off the computer so they didn't get fried. Yeah, I mean, I was like, what the heck? It's just, this song is so affecting. It's actually affecting the weather outside.
And the last couple weeks, each time that we've sat down to do research, the weather has turned gray and rainy and stuff.
It's incredible.
But this time when we were on our last session of research for the whole album, it wasn't just gray. It got violent.
It did. And that's perfect for this, section of songs that we're about to discuss. These next couple songs, very intense. Yeah.
So that mood musically gets that mood across, lyrically gets that mood across as well. Let me just say, or let me share with you what I've always taken from these lyrics.
Okay.
And you can tell me if you think something similar or what you think.
Okay.
I've always heard this one as being a love song sung by someone who is going to leave their partner because they can't love them as well as the partner loves them, or as honestly as the partner loves them. It's an idea I can barely understand. I have some trouble with it, but most of it comes from the line, swimming the same deep waters as you is hard, meaning that he has trouble loving her as deeply as she loves him. And she says, the shallow drown lose less than we, saying to him, those who don't dive as deeply into love don't gain as much from it. That's sort of where I get those ideas from. Have you
I read
thought something similar to that?
Yeah, I read some really good comments on the Song Meanings website where people, share their thoughts. And I saw one particular entry that was very much like what you just said, where, there's a difference between the depth of love and the breadth of love. Some people love very deeply. Some people love very broadly, and it's like more a superficial level. And the difference between these two people in this song is one can love more deeply than the other. And the singer, the main singer, which would be Robert, has resigned himself to the fact that they are just not compatible for those reasons. Yeah, it's a really interesting idea. I think I can understand it. I mean, I think that some people just feel emotions more deeply than other people. And that was kind of what was going on here. Some people, when they get angry, they get really angry and then they hold that anger for a long time. Some people, they have a quick burst and then they're done. Some people never really get that angry. I think if you compare it to anger, maybe it's easier to understand than when you think about love, because love is generally a more long-lasting emotion than anger, but not necessarily.
Okay, I think I understand where you're coming from with that, the comparison of anger and love. We're going to get more than enough anger with our next song on here.
True. Yep.
So instead of continuing on with anger, let me say this. This is a song that would never work as an edit. If they had to, for some reason, like mix it as a single,
Right.
it would just fall apart.
Yeah.
It would lose all the excellence and the atmosphere and the tone.
Yeah. You would not get the same feeling from it. You would not get what they want you to get out of it. And, that really carries over into the live performances because the live performances are usually even longer than the album version, 11 or 12 minutes long because there's just, it's just a wonderful exploration of feelings and sounds and all kinds of good stuff.
Ace Birdad.
I want to go back to the very first episode of Disintegration, where we talked about the reviews from the time.
Okay.
There was a New York Times review that I read some of, and that author said, Mr. Smith may well be rock's truest heir to 19th century romanticism in all its tortured, feverish, visionary excess. And I think the lyrics to this song are a perfect embodiment of that idea.
Oh, yeah, very true.
I think the simple fact that he says shall, to me, kind of gives the lyrics a more old-fashioned feel to them. We shall be together. That's a very kind of formal way to say things instead of we will be together. Yeah, I think that the phrase, the strangest twist upon your lips, I can see some kind of romantic poet using that phrase.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And what do you think that means, that phrase, the strangest twist upon your lips? Do you think that's a smile and that he's not used to seeing it from that person? Or do you think he just doesn't even recognize happiness at this point? I don't know. Those were some of the thoughts going through my head when I tried to interpret that.
I like the latter thought there that you had, that
he
it's a foreign concept to him.
Yeah, he doesn't even understand when she smiles. He doesn't know what that is.
Right. But, I couldn't say for sure, but
no.
I like that idea. That's a cool thought.
Yeah.
I had some trouble with that line as I was trying to interpret the words myself.
Well, the cool thing is about almost all of his lyrics is that they are open to many different versions of interpretation. And I think he's okay with that.
Indeed.
And we're going to definitely talk about that in the next song, too.
Okay, so to wrap this one up, we've talked about many fantastic songs over the course of this podcast, but this is one of those rare occasions where we actually get to talk about a masterpiece, in my opinion. This is more than just a fantastic song. We've talked about a few of those over the year. How long have we been doing this? Over the 2 years?
We've been doing it
year and a half?
Since November of 2016. So 2.5 years.
Oh, wow. I'm older than I thought.
Yes.
So could Robert and Simon ever top this song? Sure, they could, but they haven't yet. But it's quite possible that if they did, I wouldn't even realize it, because at my age, I'm a victim of this inability to feel and be moved by art, the very condition that Robert was talking about when he sat down to write this song and write this album. He mentioned it in that quote. He felt something so powerful when he sang it, and then the next day he didn't feel anything. So I guess this song just came to me at the right time in my life to make such a big impact and for it to stick with me for so long. And because of that, I consider myself very, very fortunate that I was there at the right time for this tune and for this album.
I like that very much.
Good stuff. All right, and that brings us up to track 3 on side 2.
Yes.
It's our second song of the day, though.
Right.
And this is the title track.
Finally, buried in the middle.
I know, it's crazy. This is Disintegration. A track that starts with the sound of breaking glass, which we hear again throughout the song. Could it be that the sound effects CD has struck again, Sarah?
I was wondering that. Yeah, it really crossed my mind. Like, wow, he wants to get his money's worth out of this CD.
He does. So, my favorite thing about this song, Robert sometimes claims that he wrote this song on his 30th birthday, on the very day of his 30th birthday.
Uh-huh.
However, that would have been only 2 weeks before the album was available in stores.
Right.
So it can't really be true.
Nope.
But Robert says, I can perpetuate that rumor because it is true. Sort of. It happened like that in my head.
Well, then I guess that makes it true. If that's how you think it happened in your head.
I love that quote. It's
I
so
know.
funny.
I know. Robert, sometimes you're just a fool. Why would you say that?
For this episode, we're not going to have any chart information or single picture sleeves to tell you about because none of these songs are singles.
Or videos or anything.
That's
like
right.
that.
So we just have these funny little quotes to maybe work our way into starting a conversation for each song.
Yeah.
So that's why I pulled that one.
I like that. So we have I'm sure we have a few reviews. I have a couple of rankings of this song on different lists. And I know you have your Slicing Up Eyeballs list as well.
Slicing Up Eyeballs Reader's Survey of the Top 98 Cure Songs from June 2010.
Yes, that one. That very one. Well, I'll go with my reader's poll from Rolling Stone of the 10 best Cure songs because this does make the list. Interestingly, this comes in at number 4.
Oh, wow.
It beats The Same Deep Water as You.
Okay.
I don't know why, but it does.
I think it's probably because people must like it more.
That's what the readers in that poll did, yes. Unfortunately, I don't have where it's listed, but from a Spin magazine article from just a few weeks ago, written by Patrick Lyons, the Cure's 15 best songs from their greatest decade. Mm-hmm. Did you see that one?
I did not.
Okay. Well, he goes on. He's been talking about the album, I guess, because there's other songs from the album in this list. And he says, on the other end of Disintegration, the stakes get much more dire. The heartbreaking title track amounts to a suicide note, with Smith leaving hints like, I never said I would stay to the end, and it's easier for me to get closer to heaven than to ever feel whole again. Everything about the music, Gallup's dead-eyed bass line, Williams' krautrock-style locked groove, the climatic keyboard stabs, the broken glass sound effect, the ghostly choir, has the makings of a final stand.
Oh, wow. I like that. And speaking of Spin magazine, that reminds me that in our very first episode of this, I mentioned that I bought a Rolling Stone magazine with Robert Smith on the cover. And then I realized as I was editing that it was actually an issue of Spin.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't Rolling Stone.
Okay.
And I was waiting for someone to call me on it, but nobody did. So I'll just admit it.
Okay. Thank you for your honesty.
So Long Live Vinyl says about this song, one of the beauties of the album is that it defies traditional structure, which is true. As we go through all these songs today, none of them are going to have a chorus.
That's true.
But the whole concept of intros is rendered redundant, as these are essentially extended instrumental passages that stretch for minutes before the vocals come in. Such is the case with the 8-minute title track that builds emotionally through repetition.
Yeah, that's something I noticed a lot about this song. I mean, we get a lot of repetition in the other songs too, but this one particularly, I think it becomes much more apparent.
Yeah, especially with Simon's bass.
Yeah.
The bass is like so repetitious.
Uh-huh. So, want to know what the Billboard track-by-track review says?
I guess.
The 8-minute title track leaves Smith with plenty of time to pack in lyrics, and that's just what he does. Whereas the other songs are spare and opaque, this one is fairly direct and overflowing with words. When Smith sings songs about happiness murmured in dreams, you'd swear he's reviewing his own album. Yeah, not too bad.
No, I'm starting to like him again.
Okay.
Pitchfork said the parts where he actually lets loose and starts raving are explosive. The title track, for instance, plunges further and further into a frustrated wail before climaxing on one phrase, both of us knew how the end always is. You can take that climax as harrowing or cathartic or just plain fun. Songs like this aren't organized around parts and movements, just steady repetition and emotional build. So at some point, you realize that the intros aren't really intros, not just a period of waiting for things to start, sinking into the sound of the album. A sound whose every element feels huge and magnificent is the whole point. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit as we go on about how I think that this definitely is the climax of the entire album, this song.
Right.
Have you any more reviews?
No, but I have another little quote from Robert from an interview. I don't know when it was, probably back in the day. He said, "Disintegration is obvious. It's my scream against everything falling apart and my right to quit with it when I want to."
In closing for my reviews, Slicing Up Eyeballs Reader Survey of the Top 98 Cure Songs from
Yes.
June 2010. Readers of the website put this song at number
5.
3.
Oh.
And a sample comment was, the track is a whirlwind of sound that keeps driving forward, and it makes use of the band at their biggest and best. There's so much emotion in Robert's lyrics and his performance. It really does distill the band into one song, and that's from 50 Pound Note.
All right. So shall we start tackling it?
Why don't we do that?
Well, where do we start? Well, I guess we start again with that breaking glass, which is repeated throughout the song. So much, like you said, so much repetition. You know, the drumming in this one, this time it's fast instead of slow, but as in many other cases on this album, it is relentless. It just does not let up. It's this constant beating. It's kind of like beating away at you, really. Beating away at your comfort level, I think.
Very, very true. And the fact that it has no chorus doesn't ever give you a break from that.
Right.
You don't get a distraction or anything. Just
Right.
keeps this driving simple beat with occasional fill-ins that vary it a little bit.
I think the neat use of the fill-ins, there's little fill-ins that basically I think signal the main message of the song. I never said I would stay to the end.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, okay, here we go. This is it. Then the drum fill-in kind of keys you in. All right, he's going to say something important now, and this is it. This is the main message.
Yep, and with each new verse, Robert sounds even more raw, I think.
Yeah.
And the large number of words, they mentioned how many words there are in this. The large number of words in the lyric help contribute to the madness of this song. He has so many words to spit out as
Yeah.
he's like raging.
Yeah. He starts off pretty calmly. You know, he begins pretty regular, and then he just keeps getting more angry and frustrated. And I don't think he's necessarily angry and frustrated with the person that he's speaking to or about. It's anger with himself and the situation. He is just so supremely frustrated and, you know, angry with himself.
And like the drums, I mentioned, Simon's playing a very repetitive bass line, but I think that really lets the evolution of the song depend, again, on the vocals and the synths this time around. You got the rhythm section being repetitive, but keeping everything moving. The synths and his very strong vocals keep things from getting boring as the song is going to go on for almost 8.5 minutes.
Right.
I don't think it feels like 8.5 minutes.
No, I don't either, because there's a lot going on in it. There's a lot of things that you can pick up and listen to, especially if you've got your headphones on. There are many layers in this song that just really help kind of create that huge landscape of sound and it's all just kind of coming at you from all angles, just an assault, really.
Yeah, I had that word used in my notes somewhere. It's a sonic assault.
But not cacophony. It's an assault, and there are a lot of disparate parts to it, but it's still listenable. I mean, it makes you tense. It makes you kind of on edge, but it's not like, oh, I can't even bear it. At least it's how I feel.
I agree. Like I said, this song is the climax of the record. I think this is the song that proves that this album is like the music equivalent of Peter Jackson's Return of the King. Because this is the climax of the record. So all the songs have been building up a reservoir of like raw emotion. And this is where we have to use that emotion, release it in anger or despair or whatever, but you can't hold on to it past this point.
Yeah.
So Robert expels it all in this song. And then, like Return of the King, you know, the climax comes in at Mount Doom, where they destroy the ring. And then you get like 30 minutes or so of various endings and denouements for the entire company of the ring. And we're going to get almost 15 minutes of music after this to help us wrap our heads around the fact that the main thrust of the album is over. But it's going to cool you down and make sure you're ready to move on before we close things up. Another way that this album, I think, can be compared to film, like we just said, the Same Deep Water as You works better than a lot of films. I think you can think about this record, you can use terminology like that and compare it to this other medium because of the care that they put into sequencing it and writing it and performing it.
I really like those thoughts that you shared, comparing it to the Lord of the Rings movies. I think that's a very good comparison. And you can't just end it with this song.
That'd be terrible.
Oh my gosh, that'd be like brutal to people. So yeah, they need to put it here where it is, like I said, buried in the middle of the side 2. You're like, all right, everything's been leading up to this. Okay, here we are, let loose. And now we kind of, at the next 2 songs, we get some relief, some closure, some just kind of calming you back down and bringing you back down to a level so that you can rejoin the world after the after the final notes trail off.
Yeah, because this song is angry, this song is ugly. It's undoubtedly worse than anything I'd listened to when I first heard it in 1989.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I'd never heard a song like this before. I don't know. I took some notes on what I once again thought that these lyrics are about. I'm not sure it really matters to anybody. You know, it's my interpretation is no more valid than anybody else's. But this song, to me, it's about self-destruction and resignation to the fact that you are going to continue reliving the same behavior over and over and over because that's who you are. When I was young, I remember being taken back and kind of turned off by the ugliness of the song and of lines like the stench of a love for a younger meat, and I'd pull my heart out and I'll feed it to anyone. And I never said I would stay to the end. I knew I would leave you with babies and everything. I thought that line was terrible for some reason. Babies and everything.
Yeah.
So I can't stress enough how turned off I am by the narrator of this track as a person. His dishonesty to someone who believed him enough, who believed him and believed in him enough to have kids with him, and his disrespect to the current new person in his life who he refers to as younger meat. It's just appalling to me. He's destroying a relationship and breaking someone's heart over someone he doesn't even regard as a person. Like he has this, I forget the first line, he likes having someone like close to his side or something.
Yeah.
Like a new person. So he's basically screwing up what he already has with this new person, but he doesn't even think of them as a person. They're just young meat. I can't wrap my brain around a person like this. Sensitive Brian, that's who I was back in the 80s, Sarah. Sensitive Brian was mainly listening to Depeche Mode, who made everything sound cool and sexy, and Erasure, who were so romantic, a small R on that.
Yeah.
Not like the Romantic Poets, but Erasure was so romantic with their lyrics. I was not ready to absorb this rage and this ugly honesty. I was appalled.
Yeah, I had trouble with this song as a youth as well. It was so dark, so full of anger and dirtiness, and my mind was not in a place to accept that or understand it probably as well. You know, being so young and naive. Oh, this is not good, and it's just so angry. And I liked happy music, and but I like sad music, but this is angry music.
This is ugly music.
And it is. So this was definitely a song I was not very fond of back then because it was just too much for me. But I can embrace it more now, being older and wiser, haha. But I don't know. I read a lot of things about what this song could be about. I mean, it certainly does sound like it could be about a romantic relationship for sure. I've also read things where maybe it was a disgust with the trappings of fame, like talking about this relationship with the crowd and I hate this, but I keep doing it anyway. And of course, there's always the drug addiction idea. Just again, I keep going back to this drug and it's destroying me. I hate myself that I keep doing this. But this is just the way I am. That kind of, resignation. So, I mean, I think there are elements of all of those things in this song. But again, that's what makes it so magnificent because you can pull lots of different things from it.
And it is magnificent. It's very much to his credit that Robert Smith has penned a song that can make you feel so much, even if what you're feeling is so ugly and foul.
For sure.
It's like an amazing bit of songwriting.
Yeah.
On our past episode, I said that not many artists could record a song bordering so close to novelty as Lullaby and get away with it. And I don't think that there are many singers that I could listen to on this track and not grow a little bit uncomfortable with them going forward. But Robert Smith, he can pull off those novelty songs. He can pull off something so ugly and yet so amazing. He draws you in. He completely repulses you. Then he discards you, but you still love him.
Yeah.
The song is over and you're like, that was disgusting. It was foul. I love Robert Smith.
Yeah. It's kind of like how he, as a person, tells us all these lies and we accept him anyway. We're like, yeah, that's Robert. He just lies all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, we do get frustrated by that, but we keep paying attention to what he says and hoping it's true. Yeah, I have some comments then about some of the lyrics of the song and what they mean and what I think they mean or things that I would just like to share with you.
Okay.
The one phrase is, bit by bit, it starts the need to just let go my party piece. Mm-hmm. So do you know what a party piece is?
Is it like a joke or some trick or something that you can use at a party if you have nothing better to say?
Well, kind of. Yeah, it's actually a part of British and Irish culture. It was done back in the past a lot more than it is now, but it was done at a gathering in order to entertain the company. You do like recite a poem or a dance or sing a song or something, kind of like your specialty, like you said, maybe to fill in the gaps of the time, but it was just kind of almost like a gift to the host in a way, maybe like, hey, you've given us this party. Well, here's what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to sing you a song. I'm going to tell you a joke.
I'm going to tell you a joke. My party piece is going to be this from now on. Anytime I go to a party,
yeah, I'm
going to whip out my phone,
yeah,
and I'm going to say, hey, everybody, listen to this.
It's so nice to meet you. Hi. Congratulations, the Cure Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees 2019. Are you as excited as I am?
By the sounds of it, no.
I love that. And I think anyone that knows Robert Smith, if you play that for them on any occasion, they will love it too.
Yep.
As we keep playing it here, and it's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so talking about this party piece and what does he mean in the song to just let go my party piece, I read an interesting comment from Bradley B. on songmeaning.com. In this song, his party piece is him pretending to enjoy the relationship and acting like there's nothing wrong. However, he starts to let go of his party piece, i.e., he can be his true self and shatter the illusion he has created for everyone else that his relationship is a happy one.
Oh.
I thought you might be interested to hear that given what you said about his relationship, what you think is going on there. Kind of like, yeah, I'm done pretending.
Oh, huh. I didn't really ever know that. I actually only found out the definition of that word like in the past couple of days. I acted like I always knew it, but I didn't. In my years leading up to this week, I always thought that the line was just let go of my party piece. And I was imagining that his party piece was like this beautiful girl that was on his arm as he walked into the party.
Like a trophy wife kind of.
Right. And that he was going to let go of her and move on.
Interesting.
So that's what I always thought it meant. I didn't know the party piece was a thing with an actual meaning.
Well, now you know.
I do know, and knowing is half the battle.
Sure. Okay, so then I want to share with you my favorite lines of this song, probably maybe my favorite lines on this entire album, because this song is rich with lyrics, and it's got such great lyrics, and there's, just some really, really cool things.
You're nasty.
Why am I nasty?
To say your favorite lyrics on the album are from this horrible, ugly song.
Well, but this part of it's kind of very, I don't know, it's very, very clever, I think, is what draws me to it. The favorite lines are, dropping through sky, through the glass of the roof, through the roof of your mouth, through the mouth of your eye, through the eye of the needle. It's easier for me to get it closer to heaven than ever feel whole again. I love those lines. And they make me think of two different things. Of course, the first thing is the Bible verse.
Yep, right.
Matthew 19:24, where Jesus says, "Again I say to you, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God." And so in that respect, referring to that Bible verse could be a reference to him and his newfound fame and glory and all the money that comes with that. And he's like, I'm a rich man now. I'm useless. I'm worthless. And I have all this money. And of course it could just be him feeling very worthless without that rich person association. The other thing that it makes me think of is that little poem by Margaret Atwood. And I think you know it because I think you read it in school. You fit into me.
Oh, I forgot about this.
You fit into me like a hook into an eye, a fish hook, an open eye.
Ugh.
Yeah, but I think that captures some of the sentiment in this song. Again, it's like, it thinks like it's going to be okay. And then like, oh, no, it's really not.
Yeah.
It just makes me think of that poem. So those are my thoughts on some of the lyrics.
Very interesting.
Thank you.
And disgusting.
Yes. But they're just so clever. I mean, the whole progression of roof of your mouth, mouth of your eye of the needle. I love that kind of pairing the last word up with the next word. And we'll find that in the next song too.
All right. Well, before we move on to that next song, Sarah, I just want to say one last word about this sonic freight train that is Disintegration.
Oh, I like that. Sonic freight train.
The song before this is my favorite Cure song. But even with everything I said about this one, Sarah, this one is not that far behind, which is surprising to me when I say it because, like I said, this one is ugly and it's repetitive. And musically, Robert Smith has written so many songs more interesting than this one. But this song does evolve in its own way, like we said, through the synths and the mess of words that he just spits out. And I can think of no other song that takes you on such a traumatic emotional journey. So in truth, regardless of what I said about how it's unappealing, this is amazing stuff.
Yeah, it's like you hate to love it instead of you love to hate it.
Yeah.
You hate
exactly.
to love it because it's like, oh, how can I love a song that's so cruel and awful and angry and all that? But it's just too well put together, too well crafted to not appreciate, in my opinion. So yeah, very good.
Ace Burdad. All right, now that brings us up to the third song of this episode.
Yes.
The fourth song on the cassette tape on this side. However, if you had the album back then, you didn't get this song.
Wah, wah.
This may be one you don't recognize if you never reinvested in a compact discs or in the reissue of it.
Right.
This one is called Homesick.
Oh, I'm so glad you chose that section to use as the sample because it has that wonderful, wonderful, wonderful descending guitar, and then it starts creeping back up. I just love that.
I'm glad you are happy.
There is nothing about this song that I don't love. I wonder what other people think of it, though.
Great question.
Yeah. Let's find out what our Billboard track-by-track review says, shall we?
All right.
11 songs in, you know the drill. Super lengthy intro, layers of lovely instrumental melody, and an utterly distraught lyric. What makes Homesick different is the presence of piano and the nature of Smith's plea. He's still crying out for love, only this time he doesn't want safety or security. Cling to me, so just one more go, inspire in me the desire in me to never go home. So he's not really terribly critical there.
Nope.
Except for, you know the drill.
And he mentions the acoustic piano there.
Yeah.
He kind of overlooks the cello
Yeah.
that I had there in that mix a little
surprisingly.
bit.
Yeah.
You think he would have mentioned something. Long Live Vinyl says, the penultimate song differs from other tracks on the album via its plaintive piano and guitar intro, which exudes pure emotion, despite the rhythmic bombast that recommences at 48 seconds. Take a little offense to that. When the drums come in, I hardly think it's bombastic.
No.
Cello motifs enter the mix at 1 minute and 15 seconds, enhancing the poignancy of the song. Smith's vocals come in at just over 3 minutes, stripped bare with honesty and what seems like tired emotional resignation. It's a beautiful delivery, almost atonal at times, which only heightens the intent of the lyrics.
Very nice. Classic Rock Review from 2014. They had just been talking about the kind of like the 3 songs together on this side so far. And they say Homesick is the best of this lot, with a sound that is at once eerie and beautiful. Its long intro begins with a soft acoustic and minor key piano before being joined by Gallup's animated bass, Williams' fine rock-oriented drums, and the flanged-out guitar of Thompson. In spite of its name, the song's lyrics tell of avoidance of home and responsibility, like a late-night drunken stupor.
You know, speaking of its name,
Yeah,
did you see what the working title of the song was as it was being written?
I did, but I don't remember what it was.
It was called The Tale of the Lonely Badge.
The Tale of the Lonely Badge? Mm-hmm. Really?
Yep.
That is bizarre.
So I have no more reviews. I just have my Slicing Up Eyeballs reader survey of the top 98 Cure songs from June 2010.
I love how you just rattle that off now.
They put this song at number
90? No.
27.
Okay, good. Huh.
Pretty good, I think, for a track that wasn't even on the album.
Well, I guess that's true. Yeah, that's a good point. Well, I have one more review from Sound Blab, and I really like this one. I saved it for last because I really like how they kind of close this out. Homesick rearranges the sound again, with a dominant piano melody by O'Donnell being the most prominent part of another musical masterpiece. It would be easy and almost advisable to pay minimal attention to Smith's muted and melancholy lyric and just listen to the music, which is a milestone in a wealth of distinguished compositions by the band. There are a lot of groups from the era that would have offered up their firstborn to create a song like this.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
They really like it.
Oh, yeah.
I like that, too, because when I first got this record, it was my favorite track. Like, upon my first hearing of the album, I thought this was the best, even better than Fascination Street, which I loved at the time because I had the 12-inch. This was my favorite, and these days it's not my favorite, but it does finish very strongly at number 4 on Brian's personal Disintegration Top 12.
Okay. It's in the top third. Mm-hmm. Well, this is my favorite song on side 2. I just love this song. It's just so gorgeous, just beautiful. And honestly, what a relief it is, sonically and emotionally, from what we just heard. To me, it's very, very calming and soothing. And like, again, it's that reward after going through that gritty, gruesome battle and all that anger and dirt and everything from Disintegration. And we have this washing over you again, like a cleansing rain.
You know, firstly, the sound and the mood of this track, this very quiet mood that you're talking about, this, in my opinion, proves that the prior song was the climax of the album, because basically the tone of this song is like a lullaby. It's a song to play when you have finished your day or completed your journey or completed your mission. And while many believe it to be another song dealing with addiction, I think of it as part of a song cycle that really kicks into overdrive here on the second side, and that there is more to it than just a song about addiction. This song is depleted, just like the narrator of the album, whose vocals come in this song, and he is barely awake or even barely aware of what's happening to him, just based on his voice.
Yeah. I call these vocals hazy and dreamlike.
Yeah, they are hazy. And, you know, I hear a man who has confronted everything that he is and realized that there is no place for him at home. He is broken. He's going to leave forever. But before that, he needs one more drink to steel his resolve and inspire the desire in him to never go home. He knows that he has to leave, but he's a coward and is afraid that he won't follow through on it. So he wants that one last drink. If he doesn't leave, it's going to be bad for everybody, the people he's leaving and for himself, in my opinion. So he's looking for some strength to make sure that he does depart.
Wow, that's very, very insightful and very, very different from what I got out of this song. This, to me, was much more straightforward than that.
See, I think it's the same narrator as Disintegration. And he's spat all that stuff out and emptied himself of his rage and everything and just realizes, like, hey, I'm horrible and I'm making life for these people terrible. I've got to get out of here.
That's a great interpretation. I really like that. I think I like that better than mine because mine is much more, I guess, literal.
Okay.
You know, just to me, it sounded like it was a song about an illicit romantic encounter, much like his later song, Out of This World. That song has one last time before it's over, one last time before the end. This song is just one more go. And he's talking about, oh, we kissed and we did all these things and and he's remembering them. And he says, I trembled, stuck in honey, cling to me. So that's another great use where he's using the same word twice, but in two different ways, right? Back to back. I really love that. And I think his voice, he sounds like he's stuck in honey.
He sounds exhausted in this song.
Yeah. It's like, to me, that's like after a turbulent, torrid, love affair. Like he's spent, as Austin Powers would say.
I have a couple quotes from Roger about the origins of this song that are extremely interesting.
Good.
Both quotes are going to give you some of the same information, but there's enough other information that I think they're both valid.
Great.
So the first one, Roger says on his website, originally, this was a song written by Lol. Although if we ever said that in the studio, Robert would get angry and threaten to take it off the record.
Ooh.
The chord changes were based on Lol's demo, but Simon and I rearranged the song and basically rewrote it one drunken night. The piano and bass parts were entirely improvised, which made it difficult to recreate in the studio. I don't think it was ever as good as the first time we played it, but it came close. The trilogy version was the most difficult, as I had moved on as a player from those days and found it hard to go back to playing like that.
Wow. But as we saw last night, I thought he did a magnificent job.
Oh, yeah, he did a fantastic job.
It was beautiful.
Yep. I like the fact that Robert would threaten to not use the song if they mentioned Lol had anything to do with it.
Wow.
Then the second quote, this is a little longer, but it's good. On the same website, in his reminiscing of this album, Roger says, we got back together probably around June or July in Devon and recorded the songs properly, sort of pre-production so that we would know what we were doing when we actually went into the studio. And we talked about this in our first episode. This is when they were at Boris's house. Remember we talked about they did a lot of stuff at his house. Mm-hmm. It was at this stage that all the final writing was done and Simon and I rewrote Homesick. It started as one of Lol's demos, and it was okay, but didn't really have much going on. I think we only chose it to make Lol feel like he wasn't being left out. One night after dinner and a lot of drinking, Simon and I went back into the playing room and started just playing through the chord changes and improvising. And it sounded really nice. We called it meshing. We just kept playing around and around the changes, and then others came in and joined in. Boris would always come and sit and play drums when anyone was jamming. He had a very natural talent, and having played with him so many years and in so many bands, it was a joy to play with him again. Simon, on the other hand, always liked to know what he was playing and didn't really like jamming or making stuff up as he went along, which made this situation even more difficult and interesting. So I thought that was kind of cool just because you get some insight into the likes and dislikes of the other people, like Simon not like to jam and Boris being really good at it.
Right, and the dynamics of the song creation.
Right.
That's very interesting. And I do consider this more of like a jam session. We talked about Fascination Street being kind of like their jam, but it's like a rock jam, and this is not rocking at all, but it is, again, kind of everybody tinkering with their own little pieces and just kind of going off into these different directions with all these different sounds. And it takes a long time, it's another long song, but I think it's just wonderful.
Oh, yeah, this song is fantastic. And every time I listen to it, I always think, maybe I like it more than number 4. I just might. But I loved this one a ton whenever I first got it. I mean, how amazing does the band sound in this song?
Oh, I know.
It's so clean and organic sounding.
Yeah, they just put everything together so very well. We have little pieces kind of adding in throughout the beginning of the song. And then eventually we get that big low bass. And I love that. It just fills in the song completely. You can just get lost in this song. And I think that really goes along very, very well with the message of the song. You are transported somewhere else, just like the singer, and you don't want to come back. But then eventually it all starts kind of falling away and fading away, just like a dream after waking. The elements of the song just kind of start pulling away. And at the end, we just have the very basic little pieces of it. And like, that's it.
Yeah. the part where the bass comes in and the parts where the drums come in, that bombastic onslaught of drums.
Right.
I love those moments of the song. It's kind of like with the end of A Forest. Tim, the guy who called in in the beginning with our voicemail, he sent us this funny clip of a Cure concert where Boris, oops, I obviously meant to say Simon, doesn't end the they're playing A Forest, and he doesn't play the very end of it. He gets a big smile on his face, and he just walks away and leaves it unplayed. And Robert over the side of the stage is like cringing. He's like holding his head in his hands, and he walks over because he can't stand it. And he picks up the bass guitar, straps it on, and walks up and plays the last part.
Good
but like
for him.
you know that feeling that it brings you, like it's not like you're anxious, but you do have a feeling in yourself.
Yeah.
And then you hear a sound and it's like and that's kind of when that bass comes in and you don't even realize that you're missing it.
Yeah. It kind of just brings a smile to your face or in your heart or something. I don't know. Where it's like, that's the sound we needed to finish up this beautiful sonic landscape. We were missing this. I didn't even realize we were missing it until I heard it. And now I'm so happy it's there.
Yeah.
And even if Roger O'Donnell thinks that he's past that as a performer when he was doing the trilogy, he outdoes himself on this song. I just think this is some of the most beautiful piano work that you're going to hear, and I don't know, on any Cure song, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
I can't think of another song off the top of my head that has more beautiful piano than this.
I can't think of one either. It is awesome. It is a high point of the album for me. And I definitely think it should have been more than a cassette-only bonus track.
Yeah, I feel really sad for people that didn't know it. And if you are one of those people and you hear us gushing about it, I hope that you go check it out immediately and, find out what we're talking about.
Yep. I spent some time today actually adding up the time of different songs on the album to see if we could drop Close Down and then fit this song onto the vinyl without re-sequencing the tracks.
Uh-huh.
You know, at the end of the day, after doing all this math, I'm still not sure if we could or not, because everything I'm reading online says that 22 minutes is the accepted amount of music to put on a record without having the sound negatively impacted. Because you can make the grooves closer together to fit more on there. We obviously have more than 22 minutes on each side of this album. Side 2, without Homesick, looked to be about 30 minutes and some seconds to me. So it's already like 8 minutes more than that.
Yeah.
So I was desperately trying to figure out a way that I could go back in time and get this song on the record for you guys. But I just can't figure it out. I don't know.
Aw.
People online say if you put too much sound, it just sounds empty and kind of thin. And I don't want to do that to you.
No. That would not be good for this.
Yeah, so...
Well, then you'll just have to listen to it in another form.
Yeah, I guess so.
I guess there's a few other ways to do that.
I guess so. All right, so we're up to the last song of the record.
Wow. What's it called?
Oh, this one's called Untitled.
Hopelessly drift in the eyes of the ghost again. Down on my knees and my hands in the air again. Pushing my face in the memory of you again. I never know if it's real. Never know how I wanted to feel. Never quite said what I wanted to say to you.
Not an untitled song, but a song titled Untitled. Many fans think that's a clever reference to the fact that the narrator never managed to say anything to the other person in the song, so there is nothing appropriate to call the song, so it is called Untitled.
Oh.
I don't know if I buy it, but I just thought it was a neat little tidbit.
Well, it is.
And we're going to end this side of the record. We're going to end the record on an uncharacteristic note. And I think everything about the music to this one registers with you immediately that this track is a little different than everything we have heard on this side.
Sure, from the very first notes.
Now, as we talk about it a little more, I'm going to maybe argue that it isn't quite as different as we think, but musically, it does sound very different.
Yeah.
That's as far as I'm willing to go with it right now.
Okay. So before we get too far, do you want to hear some reviews?
I do.
Okay. Billboard, track-by-track review. The album ends with a tune so depressing that Smith couldn't even give it a name. As always, though, the guitars chime gorgeously, and the lyrics reveal Smith to be a livelier, less despondent guy than he'd have us believe. He could have titled this, Hopefully Fighting the Devil, or Gnawing My Heart Away Hungrily, two of the great phrases you'll miss if you close your eyes and get lost in the musical sweep. That's the only trouble with Disintegration. In this enchanted forest, you can't stop and appreciate every tree.
Maybe he did give it 0 stars.
I don't know, but...
Maybe you've been spreading lies about it.
Well, but he says some pretty miserable things about it. Anyway.
I have a very short comment from thequietus.com. I really like this sentence. Finally, the bittersweet, reflective, untitled, the perfect ending, music for walking away.
Yeah, that's lovely and true. Soundblab says, this is what I loved about it. Long ago, although I don't think it was that long ago, a sardonic reviewer said that Untitled, the album closer, was a song so depressing that Smith couldn't even give it a name.
No way.
Yeah. That would be a bit harsh, in my opinion. Yes, it is not a happy song. Surprise! But the poetic lyric of an unrequited love brought about by insecurity and fear is actually one of the best Smith has written from where I sit. The music also isn't nearly as depressing as other cuts, with a wistful feeling of hope woven into its structure. It is a great way to end the album and not push the listener completely over the edge.
Hear, hear.
I completely agree.
Completely. Long Live Vinyl said there is a sense of completion and resolution here as the album draws to a close, with Smith's underplayed and perfectly judged vocal delivery resting easily amongst the chiming guitars, epic snare, and almost upbeat melody. A moving and enigmatic end to a landmark album.
Yeah, I love it. And Robert himself kind of confirms this feeling that we have that not all hope is lost. He says, that really is the key line in the record, knowing that everything's futile, but still fighting, still raging against the dying of the light. I am sometimes overwhelmed by a sense of futility and purposelessness. At that point, you have to do something to affirm your existence. I write songs.
That's right. That's from a Rolling Stone interview back in 1989, where he also said that this song was a hopeful song in a hopeless world.
Perfect. I love that.
And for one last time,
yes,
we're going to check in to this top 98 Cure songs.
Oh, you didn't say the whole thing. You had one more chance to say it.
Well, I'm going to try to make people get anxious inside as they're waiting for me to say it. Like we're waiting for Simon to play that bass part.
Yeah.
Yeah, from this unnamed list of top 98 Cure songs. I'm just kidding, guys. It's from the Slicing Up Eyeballs Reader Survey of the top 98 Cure songs from June 2010.
Ah, thank you.
They put this song at number 23, 4 positions ahead of Homesick, but very close in location on the list.
Oh, interesting. I would say this is my second favorite song on side 2.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really like this song a lot. I think because it is more hopeful, it is very, very beautiful, and it is another sense of relief after all that we've gone through the past however many minutes.
All right, let's talk about this hopefulness that's found in this song.
Okay.
All right. Now, like I said, I agree with everyone who says musically this song sounds a bit hopeful.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so nice to end the album on. Also, I'm going to say that this song continues with this character of the narrator that I've been talking about. He sounds much more healthy in this song than what he had. He sounded horrible in Disintegration. He was exhausted and completely depleted in Homesick. Now here, as he's getting ready to take off and go on his way, he sounds resigned to what he's going to do. He sounds like he doesn't have these issues that are making him spit out venom and everything. The vocal is very well done and very calm and very clear. Mm-hmm. However, what key is this song in, by the way?
Oh, it's actually, I'm glad you asked. It's actually in G, just the same as Prayers for Rain.
Oh, okay.
Which is very interesting because they have very different sounds.
Yeah. Lyrically, I never get a hopeful vibe from this track. The first verse, okay, most lines end with the word again. Mm-hmm. Okay, which tells us that it's not the first time he has been in this condition, and this condition is hopeless and not knowing what he wants to feel. Okay, the second verse I find to be really sad. All these things he wanted to do, but never took the chance, and now it's too late. He can't do them. He's always wanted to do them. He never will. And finally, the last verse. Okay, I understand he's fighting.
Yeah.
He's hopelessly fighting the monster inside of him. He feels it gnawing away at his heart. And he says he will never lose this pain and he will never dream of you again. That's the saddest part of all. He is so monstrous and so tragic that he's not even going to let himself ever think about this person again. And without a connection to someone like that, there's no way he's going to be able to stop himself by being consumed by this monster that he can feel inside of him. You can't isolate yourself from he's isolating himself from everybody because he knows he's terrible for everybody. And he has decided he doesn't want to subject other people to this anymore. So he's going off by himself. That's awesome. However, you're never going to survive by yourself. If he goes off by himself, he has this monster that he can feel eating him up inside and stuff. You can't depend on just yourself to defeat that. So he's hopeless. He's never going to win. It's a sad ending because for the good of the many, he is resigning himself to a terrible future.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. I mean, it's funny that even Robert Smith says that this is kind of more, he doesn't say hopeful, but he's still fighting, still raging, blah, blah, blah.
Right, but I see it as such a losing battle that he realistically has no chance.
Yeah. Well, one thing I took from this, which I thought was very interesting, he says, I'll never lose this pain, never dream of you again.
Right.
That line really struck me because most people cannot control what they dream about. So he says, I'll never dream of you again. Once you're asleep, unless you're really good at lucid dreaming and controlling your dreams, you can't say that and be absolutely certain that he'll never dream of that person
Well,
again.
you can say it in poetry. You can say it in art.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so resigned to this, I will never dream of you.
Yeah, I guess.
Realistically, it's not true. You're right. But for the sake of art, it's dramatic.
It certainly is.
So because Robert actually calls this a hopeful song, I was like, well, what am I not getting? There's something hopeful. There's some hopeful aspect to it. The only thing I could come up with that I can reconcile with my own thinking is that the upbeat, hopeful vibe of the music is for the people that this guy is leaving behind. These people that may be sad at first, but then soon learn that their lives are better without him in them. That's who is going to be improved. Their lives are going to be improved. Something good is happening for them. That's the only positive thing I see in this sequence of songs.
Okay.
Because like I said, he's riding off into a very tragic sunset with no real hope. And the positivity stems from the fact that he found it in himself to make a sacrifice for the benefit of others. So they're the ones that are getting the good stuff. And sadly, there's no real hope for him, though.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I'm trying to think if we relate this to addiction and recovery, maybe you're rid of your actual drug addiction, but the pain and things that you were dealing with that kind of led to that addiction, you'll never get rid of that. Maybe that's another way to look at it. Again, what is that? Is that hopeful? Well, it's hopeful if you get yourself off drugs, I guess, and, you still have this despair and this terrible emotions that are weighing you down.
You'd have to know more about the situation to make a claim that you can get off drugs, but you'll never defeat the influences that were making you want to take the drugs.
Right.
You just said that. You said that you never would. Are you relating that to this?
Yeah, like what the narrator, what the singer is saying, like he's going to get off the drugs, but he knows that he's still never going to be rid of the demons inside of him and the bad things that make him feel bad and which drew him to drugs in the first place.
Well, if you're going to subscribe to the point of view that these songs are all about addiction and addiction to drugs, I would actually be apt to have some optimism as he goes off that maybe he would do that. Because it sounds like if it was an addiction to drugs at this point where he is right now, he could possibly get off the drugs. He could beat that. And then it's up to him to mentally work out whether or not he can beat the ugliness that made him start taking drugs. Mm-hmm. And that's what he's going to have to do as he walks off. I would be slightly hopeful about that if that's the case. But, the way I'm looking at this, it's not drugs that is causing the problem. It's himself. It's the way that he is. Uh-huh. That's how I'm listening to it. And he's not going to be able to change who he is.
Yeah, I definitely get that. I can understand that. And probably, I won't say it's more valid, but because, again, we have so many different ways to interpret these songs. But I think I understand that a little better and maybe agree with it more even than my own little off-the-cuff interpretation.
No, plenty of people think these songs are about drugs. I just think you can't say every single song is about drugs.
No, right.
So
it's almost like a cop-out.
So, I was trying to find a storyline through these songs that involves something a little different.
Yeah.
But getting away from what we think may or may not be there, because like I said, who really cares what we think the song's about? Let's talk about, what do you just think about this song?
Oh, yeah.
This is another great showing, I think, for the rhythm section especially.
Yes.
These drums are real nice and crisp, very punchy, and we get one last bouncy Simon-style bass line.
Yeah, yeah.
That, it lays down a very chipper foundation for some wonderful Cure-style guitar lines.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the big drums. I love that da-da-da-da-dum that we keep hearing over and over again. Da-da-da-da-dum. That's awesome. But let's go back. I think I mentioned this already, the accordion sound in the beginning. To me, that is such an unusual sound. It's such an unusual mood for an accordion to evoke as well. I mean, it's a sad, slow accordion. I don't think of most accordion songs as being sad and slow.
Sarah, a song was never improved by the presence of an accordion.
What's that from?
Well, I was just restating my famous quote that got me in lots of trouble over the past year,
with
where
sax.
a song was never improved by the presence of a saxophone.
Yeah.
I was going to change it to the much safer choice of an accordion.
Oh, but then you'd find yourself having to backpedal immediately because, well, first of all, this song.
You're
Then-
right.
Then how about Boat on the River?
Oh, I love that song, Boat on the River.
I know.
So I was just saying it in jest anyway. I didn't really mean it.
No, I know. But it's such a different sound, and I love it. And then I love that we end with that, too. It's such an interesting way to end the album. It's not at all what you would expect, given what you've heard over the past 70-some minutes, to end with this kind of fading out of the accordion.
Very true. And that just little sequence of chords that he's playing, I mean, he does that like this whole song, doesn't
Yeah,
he? That's
it's-
all the
right.
keyboards do.
Yeah.
We never would have heard that synth voice on any other song in this record. It wouldn't
No.
work. It would not
No.
work with any other song.
No.
Very weird. And Robert's vocals here, like I think I said, they're very pleasant and very controlled.
Yeah.
And he sounds much more chipper than on Homesick. And you can tell that he managed to expel all of his rage from Disintegration.
Yeah. I don't even get this sense of resignation here that I have heard in some of the other songs, like where he's just like, oh, yeah. I mean, I kind of do get that in the last couple lines, but even it's not as defeated, I guess you could say.
I would agree with that. I think he's just like in a little healthier place, even though his odds, in my opinion, are not very good. And speaking of his vocal on Homesick, something I forgot to say about that, I like that the singer, the narrator in Homesick, is so exhausted and depleted that even when he tries to do just like a little ad lib
Yeah.
in the song, the little doot doot doot,
Yeah.
it's even like, even that like sounds miserable.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah. I forgot it because I kind of laughed that he did that.
Do, 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 do,
Yeah. Going through the motions almost. Yeah.
So, I don't think this is truly an upbeat ending for him, but I do hear that in his voice that he's facing his future in a much healthier way. And maybe that is the optimism that we are to leave the record with.
I think that's a good assessment, a good guess, or whatever you want to call it.
If that's true, I can accept it and I can stand behind it. It works with what I am thinking of the record. I think it's just important to remember that the upbeat feeling passed on to the listener comes at a very heavy price to the narrator, in my opinion.
Very true.
That's it for Disintegration. We
Wow.
have talked about all 12 songs. It's taken 4 episodes.
Oh
It's
my gosh.
taken probably over 6 hours.
Yeah,
But we have done it. And
we did.
folks, if you took the month off from our podcast because you didn't want to deal with tragic sorrow of The Cure, please feel free to come back now.
Yeah, well,
As
they
we
won't
head
hear
into
this.
June.
They won't hear it if they're not listening to the Cure episodes. They won't hear that all clear. But we'll have to let them know otherwise.
Yeah. So all we have left to do, Sarah, is we have to give our final evaluation to the record.
Wow. Okay, I'll go first because you probably have a lot better things to say.
I
than
have very
do.
little to say. That's my entire...
Oh, wow. Yeah, you don't have a lot. Well, honestly, I don't have as much as I could have said, but we've said so much already.
That's the point. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been talking, like I said,
Yeah.
probably over 6 hours.
I know. Well, as we've gone through this album song by song, we have made some comments about inconsistencies and songs that don't fit in, at least thematically. Lullaby, love song, Fascination Street, they don't really go with the other themes of despair and lost love and hopelessness. But what is consistent throughout this album is the extraordinary musicianship, arrangement, and production. I cannot say enough good things about every single instrument that we hear on this album,
Hear, hear.
to include Robert Smith's voice, each instrument's placement in the songs, and the level at which they're mixed. I mean, I really can't find anything to criticize. Although I do try to stay on more objective side when I'm giving my final review and rating. For this album, it's been much harder than usual because this album, as we've been discussing and sharing other reviews from people, other thoughts from people, this album just has a way of getting right into your heart and soul. And I know many thousands of other people feel the same way. Gosh, that's not an easy thing for a band or an artist to do, to affect that many people on that deep of a level. But not only did they do it here, they've done it incredibly well. And it just takes this album to another level. And of course, we can't ignore the album's importance to the world of music and how many future artists were influenced by it. And obviously, The Cure has more examples of this type of work, which is why they were just rightfully inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of more subjective, and they're awesome, the influence and stuff. But again, there are enough outstanding technical aspects of this album that I do feel that there is still some objectivity in my rating. So having said all that, I obviously have no choice but to give this album a rating of 5 record adapters. And this may be the only album so far that I actually wish I could give more than a 5 to.
Very nice.
It is just that good.
I hear you.
Okay. So what'd you give it, a 2?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
All right. So that's it.
Okay.
Thanks for listening,
Yeah.
everybody. No, I'm just kidding. All right, folks. We have done 83 episodes now with the completion of this one.
Wow.
And we've talked about many albums that I can't imagine not having in my life. Dream into Action, Dare, Color by Numbers, Into the Gap, Music for the Masses, Actually, and Wonderland. Without any one of those awesome records, I would not be the person I am today. They are all so important to me, and were important to me growing up and still are. And I say without hesitation that Disintegration is better than each and every one of those records that I just mentioned.
Wow.
I hope that I've laid out a case for you to prove that over these 4 episodes, and that I successfully explained to you why I love this album so much, because really, I have nothing more to say about it. I give Disintegration 5 stars, but only because I can't give it more.
That's the same as me.
I can think of only 2 albums that mean more to me, and I will never be able to objectively discuss them here. We will discuss them. I'm just saying it's going to be a love fest.
Yeah.
And but I tried to be objective about this album. So a 5 out of 5. I wish I could give it more. In the meantime, this is the best album we have talked about yet, and I have enjoyed this month of podcast immensely, and I hope that you, our friends out there around the world, have enjoyed them as well.
Hear, hear.
So thank you very much for sticking with us, if you did, for this month of May celebration of Robert Smith and The Cure. We had a blast, and we hope that kind of carried through to you.
Yeah, I really enjoyed talking about this in depth. We did need all 4 episodes to really give this album its due. You know, really, there's just so much to say about it. I think we said it all now.
We may have. So, folks, if you enjoyed this look at The Cure, please let us know. Reach out to us on Facebook or Twitter or email. Or if you're feeling really, really generous, you could log into iTunes and give us a review there.
Yeah, we would love to have something to read for our next episode.
That's right. And don't forget, you can always reach out to us at 724-490-8324 just to tell us what we did wrong.
Yeah.
Or to tell us what you think about the record we discussed. And we would enjoy hearing from you there. All right. Well, I guess that's it.
Yeah, I guess that is it. So we will see you next time with a look at some other album.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is.
We don't even know at this point.
No, we're just kind of like exhausted from this discussion.
Yep. And we're exhausted from doing 3 weeks of podcasts in a row, something we haven't done for probably a year.
That's true. Yeah. Yes, we might take a little break if you don't mind.
So we'll talk to you soon.